In this lesson, we're going to talk a little bit about post-exploitation. Now that I have actually exploited a vulnerability, I am in a target system, there are a number of things that you can do with Meterpreter that are really helpful. We looked a little bit at dumping the hashes out. That's really helpful when you're going about the task of maybe reporting. You can indicate that you've gotten the hashes. We can also take the hashes and run them through a password cracking utility. So you could get Loft Crack, you could use John the Ripper as an example, you could get a Rainbow Tables utility, and you could run those passwords through a password cracking utility. And once you've got the usernames and passwords, that may give you the ability to jump into other systems remotely, which is really nice. There are a number of other things that we should probably look at here. I want to look at maybe doing a port forward, for example. So I could do a port forward here. And if I were to do a port forward and I want to do help, so I want to do a port forward on the local host. I'm going to leave that alone. My local port, I want to listen on, let's say I want to listen on this one. And then the remote port to connect to is going to be 80. I'm going to set the remote host to the 172.30.42.17. And I forgot to put the add in. If I were to go over here, I could do a telnet to localhost on port 8888. And now if I were to do a get, you'd see that I got a web page back actually. I was actually able to connect to a port on the remote system by talking to my local system because I did a port forward. This port forwarding may actually give me the ability to connect to other systems if I were connecting to a remote host that was somewhere other than my local network. I may be able to use the port forwarding technique to get to services on that network that maybe are behind the firewall that I wouldn't otherwise be able to get to. Another thing that I can do is maybe get to networks that are behind this particular system, and so I would do pivoting, and we'll take a look at pivoting in the next lesson.